Hey there, hunters. Welcome back to the Gunners Guild. Today in Remnant 2, we're going to be taking a look at the new Prism system that was added in DLC 3 and kind of explain how it works and how to almost guarantee you get what you want, even if you've kind of read the quick guide on it already. But we're going to start with the basics and stuff, so just bear with me. But anyway, let's just get into this. So prisms, you can get a total of 7 prisms. One can be purchased from Dwell. The other ones are going to have to be unlocked. I'm sure by the time this video comes out, we're kind of going to know where they are. So please reference the spreadsheet in the description below for updates on the prism system. With these prisms, you can equip them and save them to your equipment loadouts so they don't get jumbled around when swapping around your loadouts. And so effectively, they are another piece of equipment or just a bigger piece of stats. Every prism can hold 5 relic fragment slots, and when maxed out, you can get 1 legendary fragment added on top. The way this works is by leveling your prisms to 50, slowly upgrading the fragments you have, and then getting to 51 for the random roll of 3 different legendary fragments, and you can pick one of those 3. Now you can store experience on the prism from levels 1 to 50, so even if like your bar is full and it's ready to level up, you still will be obtaining experience, and so you can actually stockpile it all the way up to 50. Now you can store the experience to 50, but once it's there, it's a hard stop on the EXP gain until you finish leveling your prism, and then you're going to have to go from 50 to 51 to get your legendary fragment. Once you finish a prism, you can, flush it, rinse and repeat to reset the prism and try again, because honestly, you're probably going to mess up a prism a couple times. So what do we do with the prism and its levels? When you do nothing but just click on the prism as it's leveling up, you're just going to get 3 different random fragments that you can select one of to insert into the prism. And when you fill the prism with your 5 fragment slots, you're basically only going to roll those as it levels up so you can upgrade them because you can't fit any more fragments. So there's nothing left to do but upgrade the ones that you have inside and then get it to 50 and finish it with a legendary. Now you can take control of this RNG and feed your current relic fragments into the prism, which will store their values in the bottom left hand corner here. Higher tiers of fragments will fill up the bar, mythic being the full bar. And what this bar does is increase the chance of rolling that fragment you fed into the prism significantly. It's not guaranteed, but it's still a very high chance. Like, you can almost safely upgrade your prism when you dump all mythic fragments into it, but there is still going to be a small chance you just don't roll what you fed into it, so there's always going to be a chance of failure. And once you put it in your fragment, you can't remove it. You're stuck with it. So this is where the grindiness of the whole prism system is going to come in. You're going to level up your prism, and if it's not perfect, you're going to flush it and try again. As you're upgrading your prism, you may notice that you can sometimes roll fragment fusions that combine 2 of your relic fragments together and free up the space on your prism. These are all predetermined. There are a fixed amount of relic fragment combinations, and if you have the 2 fragments that can combine in your prism, eventually they will roll together, which is where you're going to combine the 2. Again, not random at all. You can't randomly fuse 2 fragments together. You can only fuse specific fragments to make specific combinations. And of course, that's going to be on our data mine list, so please check that out when that's updated. Now, when you fuse 2 fragments together, they do remove a slot from your prism, lowering its total level, since the level of your prism is just going to be the level of all your fragments. And now you're going to want to add another fragment into it. This is, of course, meaning that you can actually get 9 total relic fragments in, assuming you want all 9, because you're going to have 4 fusions and 1 that you can throw in at the end. But that's kind of where it's opening you up to failure on messing up your prism, because you're going to want to plan everything out ahead of time, which of course requires you to know what fragment combines into what. And every time you're going to have to roll a new fragment slot, there is a chance of failure, so be careful. So the way you're going to want to roll a prism with the least amount of chances to mess up would be to write down all the fragments you want into it, including your combinations, and then feed 5 of those mythic fragments into the prism, 4 of them being 2 fusions that will obviously, pair together, and 1 being the first part of another fusion. Now, as you level your prism, you're going to want to select the 5 fragments that you had fed into it, just so you can fill up all the slots and there's no more chances of messing up. If you don't get the 5 you want, or a random one that isn't one of the ones you eventually wanted, it's probably going to be a dead prism, or at least not exactly what you wanted, so you're probably going to have to finish it up before flushing and starting again. But if you do fill the prism with your 5 fragments, you can now safely just level and click any of the fragments for the next 30 levels or so. I've mostly seen that the fusion fragments usually occur between levels 30 and 48, but do remember it is guaranteed eventually. When you do get a fusion fragment, select that one, which is going to free up a slot on your prism, which means that your next level will roll random fragments to fill the missing space. So make sure you feed another mythic fragment for an actual stat that you want, most likely being the next one that finishes, a fusion. You will then level your prism and be careful with your rolls because there's a chance that you're going to roll not what you just put in. So make sure you're either going to select one of your fragments to level up and hopefully that the next level adds the one that you just added, or, eventually you're going to brick it. So just be careful. Repeat this process until your second fusion hits, and then again feed another mythic into it, and making sure you pair up all your fusion fragments. Eventually, you're either just going to get bad RNG and get a fragment you didn't want, or you will get the fragments you do want and finish up your prism. Once you finish your prism, you'll then have to roll your legendary fragment, which of course there's absolutely no way to determine what you're going to get. It is just a random choice of 3 legendary prisms. Now, Tragic on the Discord did say that, they do kind of have the tech to make it so you can re-roll your legendary prism, but that's going to be more work and probably happen at a later date. So for the time being, yeah, you're just going to have to roll, and then if you don't get the one you want, then you're going to have to reset and try again. Also, do note that the legendary fragments do say +1 on them, but you cannot upgrade legendary fragments. That's how they are. It's just a naming convention kind of thing. So don't worry about it. So the prism process should look something like this for what I believe to be the best chances of success with the least chances of bricking your prism. Now, that's everything I know about the prisms, and just an extra side note, because you're going to be feeding your fragments into your prisms a lot, you're going to need to be finding or buying your fragments from Dwell a lot. So I hope you didn't sell off all your relic dust, and if you did, go buy it back from Cass. And also, just join other people's online lobbies and buy their dust out. You'll need a lot of it. And also, don't forget to equip the Explorer for its prime perk to get better odds at fragments. And Explorer in general has just kind of regained its usefulness forever because you're kind of always going to want fragments, it seems. But anyway, that's going to be all for me. Thank you all for watching and good luck out there.